Hey, John, can you hear me?
Hello, Robin.
Hey, John, can you hear me?
I can hear. I don't have to see you, but I see your name and I can hear you.
All right.
We
I
well
mean, yeah,
wait.
I could share video if you really wanted. It didn't matter. It's
No, you're good. Names. Yeah, I don't stand on ceremony. Name's good enough for me.
all right. Cool.
Um. Uh. Well, while I got you, waiting for a couple other people. What I normally do is I tell you one of the first things I do in this class is I make a copy of that schedule. It's always good that you can see that and pull it out every now and then and say, "Oh, that." Of course, you'll find that every Monday, no later than Monday night, usually by the late afternoon, I send out a class reminder that also tells you what's due for the week.
Yep, got it
So,
today.
okay, here's the deal. Just to get through, let you know the way the school class is. It's not, it's not overwhelming. It's pretty organized. We got 4 units of four chapters in each unit. At the end of every unit, we have a unit test, and then after 4 units, we have a final. And then the only other thing we have is which we'll talk about probably about a week or so, is we have a a, a semester project, and that's the lay of the land with this. You'll find that most of the stuff we do is not complicated. It's just remembering to do some of the stuff that's there. So hopefully that all makes sense to you.
Yep.
Okay. Have you had any stumbling blocks and or glitches that I should be aware of, or is everything okay in your world?
Oh, yeah, everything's working fine. I haven't had any
Okay.
problems this semester.
You should not have any problem. It's a pretty organized class. The only other thing I'll remind you is towards the around the end of the first week in March, even though it may not pertain at most people in the class, I will remind you when the last day to withdraw without getting an F is, and that's 313. You don't have to worry about it now. I will remind you the first week in March that that essentially the that's the date you need to know. Right now, it's not in your wheelhouse, as they say right now, but it will as we move down, and may not even pertain to you, but as a courtesy, I send out a reminder the first week in March to remind everybody, if you want to withdraw, make sure you do it by the 13th. We
Okay.
have a note in there, but for some reason we don't put the date in. I don't know. I follow whatever the lead to let you to let you know. The lead instructor in this is if I don't know if you had him or not, is Vincent Weaver.
Yeah, he's my advisor.
He's your advisor. He
Yeah.
is the lead instructor in this. So if something you don't really like in this class or you want to complain about it, come to me. I can't give you an answer. You can just go see your advisor.
Gotcha.
Okay. So I'm gonna wait a few more minutes, and since it's 4 o'clock, my plan was to go over the this week's lesson, go over the PowerPoints. Only because the first week kind of we just trying to get our legs up, and it's pretty much a general, hey, this is what law is type of thing. And my compliments to Vincent. Vincent Weaver came up with that video orientation, which I think is wonderful for this class. A lot of these classes don't have that. So, do you have any questions?
the semester project, can you give us any more information on ideas or?
Well, pretty much this is how we work it, just to let you know. It's a specific thing. We do a we look at it from the point of you starting a small business and what's the type of business you want to do. And the good news about I love management because you always give you a game plan. You will have and I'll probably about a week bring it back out, but you will have a detailed outline to use. So pretty much it's almost like fill in the blanks, do the research and fill in the blanks. Probably in about a week, when the dust settles a little bit, I will talk about it a little bit. So I want to bring them because it's due on the 30th. I want to give you as much advance warning as possible. And in my world, to let you know, I'm a little different than everybody else. I open everything except the unit tests and the final at the beginning of the class. And there's a reason I do that. Most of you taking more than one class. And the reason I do that is it allows you at certain point in time in your world, if you want to, you can get ahead. So I don't timeline any of these assignments or anything other than the unit tests and the final. So if somebody decides they want to get ahead, by all means, you have every right to do that.
So that may be something I have a question about. When is the first unit test due?
Okay, that is due the 2nd of February.
Okay, can I get that released early? I'm actually going to Germany for a week and I leave on.
Are you in the service?
No, I'm my job, my
Okay.
company.
Well,
So
listen.
I leave that Monday. So I didn't know, could I get it released earlier?
The normal policy is, and this, it's from high up. We normally do is we wait till you come back, and the reason with that is they don't want. This is how it works. They don't want people who take the test to let other people see what the test was and the answers. So if it's okay with you, when you get back, just say, "I'm back, I'm ready," and then I'll open it for you and we'll go.
Okay, awesome. I think I should be back. It's a little up in the air. I may be back already on the 2nd, but I might not be back until like that Monday. So I will
just let me know.
I will keep you up to date on that though, for sure.
Let me know when you're ready and we'll set it up for you. Tell me when you want to do it. We'll set it up and we'll rock and roll.
Okay.
Hey, Kelly, how you doing? Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Good. Are you?
Okay. Now, do you have any questions before we start?
No, I don't have questions.
Everything's okay. You got through the first week okay, and everything's good. I should grade most of that today and tonight, so you'll see everything graded. Hopefully by tonight, I try to grade within 48 hours. That's my game plan. That's the way I work. Okay. So what I'm gonna do is, at least for this week, we'll change it accordingly as we move along. We're gonna go over chapter 4's lesson. If that's okay. If you don't want it, you don't have to, but the chances are, at least for this week, we're going to go over lesson 4. And so if you can bear with me for a second, I'm going to get that PowerPoint up and I'll share it. Okay, hold on. Let me see. Okay, so hold on for a second. I'll go to share screen. And let me see. Okay. It did what it's supposed to do. You tell me I couldn't, but okay. So we're gonna go here. We're gonna go to, should be less complicated, but is what it is. So it's waiting to do this. What I was telling you, the way this test class is organized, it's pretty simple. We got 4 chapters in each unit. At the end of 4 chapters, we have a unit test. After we go, when we finish the 4 unit tests, we then have a final, and then pretty much after that, we also have a a final. And well, and then they chap the test. So bear with me for a second. We're going to go through chapter 4 just to see it. And thank you for coming tonight. The good news is it's not 1 degree, which is good. There's other places it is. Okay, tort law. Go to PowerPoints. You're all aware that you have these PowerPoints as well, don't you?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're gonna go, we're just gonna spend a little bit of time on this. And this one's interesting because we hear a lot about this in the great world of ours. The first general area we work on is called tort. And it's interesting. Tort is a violation of the rights for any individual or business that can be damaged. Oh, hold on. Either intentionally or by negligence. Now, the interesting thing about this is that the law of torts does not deal with the requirements that are in contracts. So contracts themselves are a mutually exclusive event to this. Some of the common things we do is we have defamation. We'll talk about that. We don't spend a lot of time here, but in other chapters we will on assault and battery. We'll talk about nuisance, conversions, negligence, and trespass. We'll do in another type of area. So, defamation is, we all know what defamation is. It's harming the person's reputation or good name by communicating false statements to third parties. Okay, for an act for that to be considered defamatory, it is necessary to show that it was really false and damaging to the individual and publicized in a way that others hear it. For instance, if you write an article defaming someone's statements about someone in a newspaper, and there's 2 types, we'll talk about libel and slander. Okay, now we talk about libel. Libel is spreading those false and damaging statements in written form, including cartoons or characterizations or likenesses, or even on radio and television, email, and websites. That's considered libel. Slander, however, is spreading false, damaging words or ideas verbally, either directly or indirectly. For instance, hearsay. Hearsay is enough for it to be considered slander. Okay? Most common is a form of spoken words, but there can be other actions that you do along the way. Now, the character of libels that involves defamatory. Now, they're published either in books, media, websites, and possibly libel exists in business. Now, the interesting thing about this, it does not have to be direct. Case in point is in an email. In a subsequent email that you send out, for instance, in the case of some laptop is missing and your manager tends to write an email to his team asking them to check with Joe, who has known to borrow things. Now, that in itself is indirectly a libel. So you have to watch this intent, the intent of something. The intent doesn't necessarily have to be there. It doesn't have to be active. It can just be intent or not unknowingly known that you do it. So slander describes most all false statements that cannot be classified as libel. And they all too are words and guesses and actions. Most times cases involve thoughtless statements that reflect badly on somebody. In other words, you fight back with somebody and you do. The problem with that is we talk about those things. Once again, it's hearsay. If other people hear that and they can be recalled and come back and say, yes, I heard him say that, it may once again be a slander. Slander does not require a statement, but some other actions can be damaging as well. Okay? So trade libel is interesting because it's traditional defamation that deals with false statements regarding your property, quality, product, or service. For instance, a manager may send an email to his suppliers complaining that his competitor is having trouble with finances or is planning to file a bankruptcy. That is a trade libel. Now, the interesting thing is you can, in relation to libel, be in a situation where Perhaps an apology to the individual may be enough to avoid any charges. And the problem with slander, once again, is it's taken on its face value. Okay? So slander per se means in most states that the per se taking on its value means that there's no defense and usually no proof of damages required. For instance, you say somebody they have a disease, or you question their background or their education, or you say that they were imprisoned and they weren't, or you say that a woman or a man was not chaste. These, by definition, are liable per se, and you don't need any proof in that situation. Okay? There's two common defenses of charges with defamation. One is truth and privilege. In truth, the defamation statement proves to be true. The person claiming that cannot recover damages. The problem with that is you still need to be careful, because you can end up spending a lot of expensive time in court, even though you said something that was true. The risk in that is you'll spend a lot of time in court. Now, privilege is that there are certain cases where you will make an accusation against somebody in a professional manner. For instance, a typical one is attorney in a case in court. Accusing a witness of lying is privilege, and a defamed person cannot recover damages because of that situation. Now, nuisance is interesting. Interfering with your enjoyment of life on your property constitutes a nuisance, right? The law gives anyone the right to enjoy themselves on their land without unreasonable interference from others. Private nuisance, who acts in a way that denies the right of a person on your own personal property. Similar to that, you have public nuisance, which is in the community. And of course, what we're talking about then is loud noise, music, bright lights, or barking a dog. Okay, so you can do that in the public and it's an issue, but you can also do that in somebody in their private residence. Okay, so it's important to realize nuisance is a problem. Okay, conversion law recognizes each person's right to own and use personal property without interference. When the right is denied or abridged, it's said to be conversion. Okay, can involve wrongful taking or detention of somebody's property. Somebody says, hey, well, unless you pay me, I'm going to take your car. Okay, that's conversion. It's illegal. Okay, the other problem is someone takes something of yours and brings it back, and guess what? They damaged it. They can also be sued for damages because of conversion. Okay, and a larceny is not included in the conversion process. Okay, negligence, failure to exercise reasonable care necessary to protect others. Negligence is either classified as simple or gross. Okay, number of allegedly have grown greatly in part due to people spending a lot of time suing people. Now, the interesting thing about this is important to realize is that corporations are liable for tort of negligence for unreasonable care in design and manufacturing the products that cause injury. This has been probably the greatest increase in negligence lawsuits over the past years in the world. Now, the interesting thing about negligence is there's unavoidable accident. The concept of unavoidable action examines whether an accident could be avoided if the person allegedly to be responsible had acted reasonably. Now, a reasonable person is determined by a person is negligent by use of the doctrine of reasonable person of ordinary. Which means that if you have the skill and the judgment to do what's expected, that the limitations on normal personal behavior will be deleted. Okay, so it's important to see. Now, vicarious negligence, this means charging responsibility for a neglective act by one person to another. Now, most employees can be held responsible for negligent acts by their employees. Now, negligence per se, this occurs when a defendant charged with negligence has violated the law to prevent the injury that has occurred. For instance, a defendant gives somebody a tool that removes the safety shield on the tool and loans it to a person who is later injured. That is negligent per se. Once again, the person has the knowledge and ability to know that that is wrong. Okay? So, contributory negligence, this is when a legal defense by the defendant arguing has that negligence is well it contributed to their own injuries. Now, you can, through your own negligence, contribute to this industry, this negligence. In most cases, what they'll do is the judge in the comparative negligence world in most states, they'll determine how much of it was your negligence and how much of it was the negligence of another party. Now, the last one of this is negligence as an assumption of risk. And you all know what that is. When you want to do something that's considered slightly risky, what do? You sign a waiver, don't you? So if you go to Carowinds and you want to do something, they may say, well, listen, you need to sign this waiver to know that now you're assuming the risk of this and not the party who is actually doing the favor for you or doing the event for you. Okay, so it's important to realize that's why we have that waiver. And when in doubt, most people do waivers for anything. So it's important to see and understand. If you're adjudged to be responsible for the loss, you're considered liable. The court must decide if the defendant is liable for the damages charged. For instance, if a customer who rents a defective car suffers injuries from that, the rental company may be liable for injuries and payments of the damages. Okay? So it's important to realize that assumption of risk comes with that. And it's called vicarious liability. Law person is liable for acts other than under their control. This is responsibility shifting, is vicarious. An employee is held responsible for the acts of their employees. Even a general contract is held by the acts of their subcontractor. For instance, here's a case. Stewart owns a cab company, hires Ron to drive one of the cars. After 6 months, Ron has an accident that results in negligent driving, causing 3 people to get injured. In this case, the injured parties may file suit against the employer for the wrongdoing because the accident took place when the injured party availed the cab service to Ron. Injured parties can hold the employer, Stewart, vicariously liable for the acts of the employee. So it becomes very important to realize that in a common world that we're in, that if you have people working for you, make sure that they're well trained and well informed that that you will be held responsible if they do something wrong. Okay, so now certain events cause the death and injury to others, even though no negligence exists. Under this doctrine, businesses may be liable for injuries to others, whether or not they've done something wrong. Okay, so in recent years, strict liability has been applied to cases involving death and injury, mostly due to manufactured products. So the argument's always been, well, if they used it wrong or something in the world that we're in, you can still be held responsibility due to strict liability. Okay, so it's important to see and understand when we talk about that. For instance, here's a case for you in the world that we're talking about. Jack Builders constructs a house on 65th Street. After ensuring all necessary precautions, his employees damaged the adjacent building. Under strict liability, it's not necessary for the owner to show negligence. The owner only has to prove that the damage was occurred due to the wrongdoing of people working for Jack's builder. Then it shall be enough to sue the wrongdoer and not the owner. Okay, so that's a whole lot of stuff. It's a whole lot of things. Reread it again in the world that we're in, but it's important to see is that the nature of this thing is we can be held responsible for people under our responsibility for acts that injure or damage something. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Couple of questions for you. You weren't here before. You notice that I always recommend that individuals in this class, that individuals make a copy of the schedule, the class schedule, just to have available so you can look at it on occasionally to see what's going on and how to plan it accordingly. And if you also notice that usually by Monday afternoon, worst case, early Monday evening, I will send out a class reminder, which will also identify the assignments that are due by the end of the week. So did you see today's yet? Carly, did you see it yet? When you go and you look in your Blackboard and you look and you see for for the announcements, you'll see that I sent out a class reminder for this week's assignment. So not only do you have the class, not only do you have the class calendar, but I also on a regular basis will send out on Monday a class reminder for the assignments that are due for the week.
Okay, thank you, Mr.
The other thing is, I will probably sometime next week, probably by the end of the week, I will send out a notice on what the semester project is, where the information is on that, so you know ahead of time. It's due the 30th of March, but in my world, like I told Robin, in my world, I do things differently. In my world, I open up everything except the unit tests and the finals at the beginning of the semester. So if you want an opportunity to get ahead, by all means, you have that ability to do that.
Okay.
So some people like to start the semester project early. That's fine. It's already open. So what I'll do next week is I will do an announcement about that, so you're aware of what needs to be done and how to do it. Show you where the assignment is, all the other opportunity we actually have a set formatted outline that you use to make it easier for you. So we'll do that probably the end of this week. I'll probably send out something just to remind you. And the other thing is, just to let you know that the deadline for dropping this class without getting an F is the 13th of March. Now, that's not important now. It may never be important to you, but probably the first week in March, I will send out an announcement to say, for all those who have interest, be aware that but the deadline for dropping this class is 3/13.
Okay.
Okay, so pretty much I appreciate you all coming. Is there anything else I can do for you?
No, I think I'm pretty good. This one's going a lot slower than the fast class, so I can kind of maintain it a little bit.
Okay, and it's pretty straightforward. The class is it's pretty well organized. Like I said, you'll by the end of next week you'll have the ABAs and the chapter quizzes down pat. You'll know all about them. The smart book is pretty good as a way to get you really inherently involved with the chapter. And like I said, that's the breakdown, and that's so pretty much once you get through next week, no surprises in this class. You pretty much know what the gamut of everything that is. Some semesters, some weeks you may have 2 chapters, another week you may not have 2 chapters. You may just have a chapter and a discussion question. Pretty much that's the lay of the land. And like I said, my only recommendation I have is that you print out a copy of that just to have available, because it allows you to manage the class a little better. I think opening up most of the assignments at the beginning of the class allows you to manage it even better. You can make a decision on when you want to do something earlier or not. And then of course the other thing is we have spring break, the 18th to the 22nd of March.
Okay.
So we'll adjust this accordingly when we get more people. Pretty much, I figured I'd just do it this way. I didn't know how many people I was getting. We'll have to adjust this depending on the number of people that are available. But pretty much, we'll spend time on the chat on the chapter PowerPoints, not maybe totally, but some of the things I want to address, we'll just see in relationship. As we go through, you may have additional questions as we go along. And if there's anything else you want to talk about,
No.
I'm good.
good. Robin, you okay?
Yeah, I'm good.
All right. And is I'm going to try and keep this at Mondays 4 to 5:30. Sometimes we'll go a little longer. Sometimes we may go a little shorter. I'm just thinking it's much better to do this the beginning of the week than the end of the week because stuff happens. And I'm also in the process of trying to make sure I can get these recorded so they'll be available as well too.
Okay.
Okay, and I guess I will. Inez, are you there? I guess, is she there? If you two want to leave, I appreciate your time and your effort. We'll work on this. We'll get this better as we move along. And like I said, any questions you have or any concerns about anything, you can bring it up during this time, and we'll kind of address the pertinent things within the lecture and anything else you need to do.
All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it. I'll leave Inez on, see if I can help her. I don't see what I'll work on her. But thank you very much.
Bye.
No, I think that was good on everything.
Okay. And like I said, my only recommendation is I always recommend just make a copy of that calendar. Between having that and having the Monday class reminders, pretty much that usually does the job.
All right, just another quick question.
Shoot.
In regards to the Zoom call, I do work at a bank, and I know that I leave work like around 5:30. So some days the timing would probably not work out. Are you looking to adjust the time for the Zoom calls, or is there going to be
We'll
recording?
see. We'll see. I'm gonna try and work on that. I prefer not to change the day, but like I
Right.
said, my ultimate goal is to try and record these for those that don't make it.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you.
So I'm working on that now. I'm gonna try and do it through YouTube.
All right, thank you so much.
Okay, so in other words, if you have an issue where you can't make it, then hopefully you'll have that. Inez.
All right.
Okay,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Inez, are you there?
That's me talking.
Okay, you're good. So you're good with everything?
Yep, sounds good.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Bye.
I miss